Hey there, I'm Priscilla. I am so glad that you are joining us for the Chat with Priscilla. This is a place where you can just come and relax and hang out with me and just talk about some things that I hope will be inspirational to you, challenging to you, and today I think informative to you, really informative. You know, we live in a culture where being broke is kind of normal. Being in debt, being strapped financially, that's what we see all around us. And for many of us, that's what we were raised seeing by our parents. But we're talking to a guest today who's going to help us to break all of that in our lives and to find wealth in the sense of freedom in our lives financially. I cannot wait to talk to Rachel Cruze, so stay tuned. Priscilla, and I'm so glad that you're joining us. This is the Chat with Priscilla, and what we do is just kind of sit around together in a living room and talk about hopefully things that will inspire you and challenge you and be important to you. And plus, we just want you to have a good time. So grab a cup of hot something, you know, a latte, coffee, tea, whatever suits your fancy, and just pull up a chair and have a conversation with us really this time around about something that's really, really important. I've got some friends around me who are going to help because today I am with someone who's been sharing something with us that is going to change all of our lives. Her name is Rachel Cruze, and together with her dad, Dave Ramsey, they are really changing the mindsets of people all over the country and the world when it comes to being smart about their money. So I wonder if you all will please help me to welcome Rachel Cruze back to the program today. Well, here's the deal. It's not just me and Rachel this time around. You need to know that this is part 2 of a conversation we have already been having. So if you have not viewed part 1, you need to, because we had some great insight from our friend Rachel about how to raise children in a way where they will want to be free financially. They'll want to be smart about their money. So we've got a few cute, sweet, wonderful children up here who want to learn a little bit about what it means to be wise financially. And so I want to introduce them to you. This is Annalise. She is 11 years old. Say hi. Annalise is 11 years old, and together with her sister right there over there, that's Tatiana, right, Tatiana? Yes? Okay. This is 10 and 11-year-old sisters, and they are already learning about tithing, about giving back to the community, about saving, but they want to know how they can save and be prepared for things like college in the future and getting a car. You want a car? Yeah, stuff like that, and being wise about their money. And then sitting right next to her is Laura. Laura is a freshman. Hi, Laura. Laura loves to shop. That's what we heard about you, Laura. Is that true?
Yeah.
What's your favorite store?
It kind of depends on what I'm feeling.
Oh.
Change it up, variety.
We can kind of understand that, right? It's what you're feeling. Yeah. Okay, but what's your favorites? Give me a couple of your favorites.
Like just the Forever 21, and like American Eagle.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Good for you. Bravo. And then over there on the end is Jonathan. He is a high school senior. Hello, Jonathan. Jonathan is preparing to, you're already preparing for college. And you're wanting to think about how to go to college, be wise about your money there. Hopefully scholarships are going to come in for you to go to school. And so your parents are going to be helping you with college if you need help, but also you just want to be able to be wise and be helpful. So we might talk about student loans and stuff like that as well. So what I want to do is allow Rachel just a few moments to kind of share with you some of her main thoughts about how to be wise in your stage of life to set you up good for the future. But then I also want you guys to be thinking about questions that are specific to you that you would really like to hear Rachel answer for you, okay? So Rachel, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Yes. Oh, gosh. Well, for you girls, I would say the fact that you even know what tithing is huge, right? I mean, that's an amazing thing. So understanding that giving is important, saving is important, and spending is important as well. Learning how to spend wisely is great. So one thing I think you guys can do is to lay a great foundation for yourselves is to understand how to work and the importance of work. And so maybe you can ask your parents if you can do a few chores around the house. And so what I did at your age is I kept a chore chart on the refrigerator. So I had the chores listed out in the days of the week, and whenever I did them, I checked them off. And
now,
then,
are you saying you personally organize for yourself a chore calendar, or your mother
May
put
or
that
may not have been my parents that kind of initiated
okay.
it.
Okay. Do any of your parents have a chore chart situation happening at home?
Not yet.
No,
Not
but
yet.
do you have
Not
chores?
yet.
Not
Did you
yet.
hear that?
But do you have chores that you do?
Oh, yeah.
You do, that you're responsible for?
Yeah.
Okay. So are y'all
great.
getting an allowance? Or do you get a regular allowance whether you do the chores or not? Or is your allowance kind of based on the chores?
No.
No.
Mine is
No.
like,
No.
no allowance.
So just chores, no allowance?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you?
Mine's like I get like $10 every week, just like because recently and still we have like football games, and those are like $7 to get in. So I always have that plus other stuff.
Okay, so what I heard about you, if I remember correctly, Laura, is that you get your allowance, but you get it on a debit card situation, right?
Yes.
So that when that money is gone, it is just gone. And then your parents also then kind of have a track record of how you're spending your money.
Yes.
Is that how the situation works?
Yes.
Rachel, what do you
That's
think about that?
fantastic.
Because we talked about allowance in part one.
Sure.
So what do you think about kind of a setup like that where money is given on a debit card situation so it can be monitored and so
Absolutely.
that when it's gone, it's gone?
Absolutely. So you're what, a freshman
Yes,
in high
ma'am.
school? Perfect. So when I was exactly your age, my parents did the exact same thing. So if you have teenagers in the house, I would say to figure out the amount of money that you would normally spend on your kids and put it in a checking account and do exactly what you're doing. So you have your own debit card, you have checks, you may or may not write checks, but you have that account. And so for you, you have to learn the responsibility that when the money's gone, it's gone. And I'll tell you, when I was your age, I had my account for about 3 months, and I got a letter in the mail from the bank.
Uh-oh.
Yes, this is not good, because I am a spender like you, love to shop, all of that. And so I ended up bouncing 3 checks out of my account.
Ooh.
Yeah, being Dave Ramsey's daughter and bouncing 3 checks is not a good thing. And so my dad actually made me go down to the bank and personally apologize to the bank branch manager. Yes. For lying to him.
Yeah.
Because I told him I had money in his bank to spend, and I didn't. And that's a
got
lie.
it. It's a lie.
So at 15 years old, I went down there and had to go in this banker's office and tell him.
You know what? That's one of those, this is like two
I've gone through
decades ago.
counseling, though, so I can talk about it
You can talk
freely,
about it now.
and it's
So
fine.
this is 2 decades ago, before there was this whole Facebook social media thing, because there are
Yeah.
parents now that have their kids standing out there with a poster board written on the poster board exactly what it was that they did. This was
Yes.
your dad doing this before
Yes.
social media.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually had to go see the guy face to face. It wasn't just posted. Yeah. So I learned my lesson. So I did learn that when the money's gone, it's gone, and you can't keep writing checks. So, but what you're learning is an incredible, incredible responsibility, and that's great. And I think that you having that account and understanding how a debit card and checks and all that work, I think it's fantastic. So I would say yes, spending money is so fun, and I want you to be able to spend and go shopping and enjoy, right? We all love clothes. Us girls love clothes. But learning to give some of that and saving some of that as well, because those principles, if you start those principles today, it's going to be so much easier in the future. Because I think a lot of people think, especially high school and college students, that, well, once I have a lot of money, then that's when I can. Once I start making money, it's easier to do these things. And in fact, it gets harder the more money you make. If you haven't put those principles in action, it's like, it's so much harder to do that. So if you can start out with a little bit like you have and give and save, it'll be wondrous. But you can still spend and go to the mall and enjoy.
Like I have to babysit and dog sit to get more money and stuff. And recently I just like finished one of those jobs, so I have like that from doing it. And my mom has it like with her, so I don't spend it all.
That's good. That's good.
So I because I always spend it at school, because there's like this coffee shop at school, and I
it's always the
always spend it. So.
It's always the coffee. So now that you have that money, what you're going to do is tithe with it. You're going to save some of it, because see, here's the thing. If you save, you always have money. You will never be without money if you've always taken a little bit out of everything you've gotten all along the way and kept some of it. Jonathan, I'm looking at you. You're like the strong, silent type over there at the end of the couch. I want to know what question you might have as you're kind of on the cusp of heading into a new season of your life. What are some of the things that concern you or that you're wondering about regarding finances?
Yeah, I think for me the big thing, along with knowing that I'm going into college and hoping for different scholarships of different types, but also don't want to get in the student debt, and I'm not even sure totally how all that stuff works yet. You know, and so I know that'll be a process that I'll get accustomed to, I guess. And then also the saving, tithing thing is something I definitely struggle with.
Yeah,
and I'm not, being in high school and trying to go out and make memories after football games, so we go to Waffle House and going out to eat all the time. There was a Waffle House, and so going out to eat before the game and then going out to eat after the game and going out to eat
So many
between
memories
halftime, I'm sure, And so we're always trying to go out to eat, and so that the whole saving process isn't necessarily the first thing on my mind in those times. And I'll try to tell myself once every 100 or so times to not eat that time, and then still end up getting something anyways. But so those are definitely two areas that I'm struggling in, and I know I need to be aware of.
Sure. Well, at least you're going to Waffle House and not Ruth's Chris, right?
Thank you.
So you're just spending, Or you can drink water when you go. Sometimes memories can be made with just water. But yeah, I think those disciplines for sure in action. But the student loan thing is huge, and that's something that so many people struggle with, and so many adults still carry around with them years and years and years later. And the thing about student loan debt that I've realized is that it's become so normal, and that people really do believe this lie that you can't go to college without student loans, that you can't be a student without a student loan. And then what we've even done is say, oh, well, go to whatever school you want to go to, because you're going to be taking out loans anyway, so you just go and follow your passion, follow your joy, major in whatever you want to, left-handed puppetry, that's fine, whatever it is, go get, and so it's just this, people just wander into this season of their life, and there's no planning, there's no preparation, and there's no one screaming at this generation, stay away from student loans. No one is saying that. They're saying, well, it's just impossible, so just go get them. And so what I've realized is that student loans are the roadblock to this generation. And so when you graduate with tens of thousands of dollars in debt, I'm finding that so many people aren't able to go do the things that they want to do. They're not able to go do the things that they feel like they're called to do.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy.
You're already behind.
Absolutely. Yeah, and he was $90,000 in student loan debt. And I was talking to him at a college, and it was a very nice college, great college, but $90,000 net. And he told me, well, Rachel, I want to graduate and I want to go be a missionary. I feel called to the mission field. What do I do? And I was like, you can't go to the mission field, right? I mean, you have to go get a job and pay these bills. Like, those bills are coming that you have to pay for. And so just realizing that, gosh, that he probably, $90,000, I mean, that's a mortgage, right? Without a house. And so just seeing that. And so just understanding, okay, if you stay in state, get that in-state tuition, or you get scholarships and grants. Oh, it's amazing, that free money, and working. If the average college student works 20 hours a week, they can pay their way through an in-state school. And so those things combine, and it's not gonna be fun, right? If you go down this route, like those 4 years are not fun, but if you work so hard in those 4 years and you sacrifice what everyone's doing, then the next 40 years of your life, you're free. You're able to go do what you wanna do. You can take the low-paying job if you want, because that's what you wanna do. You don't have bills to keep up with. So those 4 years of sacrifice is huge, just to get yourself in a position where you are debt-free when you graduate.
We're going to talk more with Rachel Cruze and these incredible young people to make sure that they are put on the path to financial freedom. We'll be right back after this. If you're feeling discouraged and defeated, if you're a bit overwhelmed or maybe even feeling undone, if you're wondering whether or not your future has any hope of victory, then listen, this Bible study is for you. Strongholds are torn down by the Word of God. Fortresses are dismantled by the Word of God. When you place faith in Jesus Christ, the righteousness of Christ is credited to your spiritual bank account. That you are the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. I invite you to join me for a lesson in putting on the full armor of God. Our lives are going to be changed, yours and mine, because we're going to learn that we've got the victory in Jesus' name. Hey there, welcome back. We are talking to some fantastic young people who want to be smart about their money. They want to have financial freedom in their life. We've got everybody from 10, 11 years old, freshman in high school, senior about to go off to college. And of course, we have Rachel Cruze, who is joining us and answering all of our financial questions, because whether you are 40 or 10, then you need to be taught how to be wise about your money. So that's awesome. We're so glad that all of you are joining us. One of the things that Rachel and I talked about in part one of our conversation was the issue of contentment. Just kind of being okay with what you have and not having to have the latest and the greatest, the new thing. Talk about that from your own experience. I want to ask you 2 questions. I want to ask you if contentment is hard for you, like if you've just got the new sweater, but then Forever 21 comes out with the next sweater, like it has lace on the bottom of it instead this time or whatever. If it's hard for you to just be happy with the one you have. So I want to talk about that with y'all. Then I also want to ask you what you see in adults today, like your parents and your parents' friends. Do you kind of see them just always going to get the new, latest, greatest thing? Or do you have adults in your life that are kind of content with what they have? So let's start with the first question first. How's contentment and gratitude for you? Is it hard for you to just kind of enjoy what you have when you see somebody else with the next best thing?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about that.
Well, like say you're at school and everybody else has something that you don't have. It kind of makes you feel left out or something.
Do you feel like other people say things that make you feel left out or do things that make you feel left out? Or is it kind of in your own mind that you must be left out?
It's sort of in my own mind. Like, say that somebody's like, you think somebody's doing something behind your back or making fun of you, and you really just going through your mind and it's not really happening.
Yeah. So it's really something you're putting on yourself, that you're feeling like I must be left out or kind of less than because they have that new thing and I didn't get that new thing. How about you guys?
Really not that hard for me, but sometimes it might be, sometimes it's not.
Does it depend on the thing it is, the
Yeah.
thing that you're looking at? Okay, what about maybe like the iPhone comes out or something? Oh, you're nodding. Okay, talk to us about that.
Well, everyone's talking about like the new 6S and stuff like that, and I still like I'm fine with my phone. I don't really care. It's a phone. Just it all has the same apps and stuff, and you can text on it just like everyone else. It's just because it's bigger and Siri has more capabilities.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm fine with phones, and
But what are you not fine with? What is something that you see other people have and it kind of makes you go, ugh?
well, as I said, like shopping, kind of like clothes. Like, I'm fine with having like the clothes that I have, and obviously, like if you just going down the hallway or like in the mall or something, and you see someone wearing something like cute, and you're like, oh, I want that. So
Yeah.
it's not like I'm fine. It's just kind of like, oh, I really want that.
Yeah.
So
So if you were to discover, okay, maybe Jonathan, you can help me with this. If you were to discover that the thing you're looking at that this person has, that new phone or whatever, it's really cool and you really want it, but then you discover later through the grapevine or something that that person actually went into debt to get it. So they didn't have the money for it, but they got it. And now it's really keeping them strapped. Like they cannot go to Waffle House now because they kind of can't go, but because they spent all their money on the phone. So if you found that out, honestly, do you think you would still feel a little bit of pressure to want that phone anyway, or would you rather have the extra money so that you can have the freedom to go to Waffle House? Which would you choose?
I think for me personally, I would keep what I had and not worry about getting the new phone. It's never, in terms of the new phone scenario specifically, that's never been a huge problem for me, I guess.
Or whatever your thing is,
whatever it is. I guess I don't know. I think it would be hard. I would probably try to stay on the side of just it's all right. I need to keep this money. I don't want to go into debt, but I think there definitely would be times of being around that person enough or seeing it enough and just realizing, dang, that really would be sweet to be able to have that. Waffle House I can buy it from a friend or something like that, but
buy one, get one free.
Exactly.
Try to go on that,
Try to have my friends pay it off for me, but I think it would be hard, but I would definitely try to stay on the debt-free side of things.
Do you think that what you notice in adults, your parents' friends, other adults you see at church or whatever, your teachers at school, do you think that what you're learning from the way they handle their stuff, right? Do you think it teaches you to be grateful and content with what you have? Or does the way you see adults always maybe wanting the next thing, spending more money, does it actually contribute to you wanting to pattern yourself after that and always wanting more? What do you see in the adults around you?
Well, if they're like wanting everything new, I think they're just foolish. Like instead of saving their money, they're just spending it all, and later on in their life, they're just not going to have any more.
Right, and does it influence you think, when you see that?
No.
No, you're such a wise woman at such a young age. Yes. What about you guys? What do you see in the adults around you?
I feel like I'm in a pretty cool place with my parents being mature enough and wise enough, and they've read all of Dave Ramsey's stuff, and so they know that. But then also having 3 older siblings who are all 20, 23, and 25, and so they're all at stages of just getting out of college, and one of them not going to college, and so kind of realizing working on their financial problems themselves, and trying to figure out. One just got married a couple years ago, and so, having my parents who are more wise in that and have experienced that more and kind of are a little more stable that way, but then also having older siblings to look up to, and them realizing, they're definitely having to cut back on a lot of stuff that they didn't have to worry about when they were my age, and so I'm starting to get to that age of when I'm going off to college, and then I know once I graduate there and I'm totally on my own and realizing, okay, I can't be having all of this, I can't be doing all the going out to eat whenever I want because I have to pay for my own stuff.
Yeah.
So I think being able to look up to them and kind of realize, I think I always had looked up to my parents and still very much do, and realize I want to be at that place where I can be very secure and stable in that way, but also realizing that where my older siblings are, realizing it's going to be a process of that. It's going to have to be cutting back on stuff, and
Yeah.
My older brother and his wife, they don't have a TV in their house, and I heard about that at first and thought that it's the craziest thing in the world, and you get there and you realize no, it's not, and they're telling you no, it's for the money reason of it. They don't need it.
That's
and
good. Larry Burkett used to say that so many people spend the first 5 to 7 years of their marriages trying to obtain the same standard of living as their parents, but it took their parents 30 years to get there. And so I think that's exactly right. I mean, you see people starting out the right way in a sense of like, okay, yeah, because you see what your parents have and you want to drive those cars, live in those houses, have those vacations, go to those restaurants, right? You want to live that life, but it took them 30 years to get there. And so that patience aspect is huge. So that's great.
What are some of the lessons that you would want these 4 kids and kids that are watching, and parents as well, to know? What would you say are the top 3 sort of instrumental pieces of advice that you learned from your parents, or that you have gleaned along the way as you've studied and become wise in financial freedom and information? What would you say are just the kind of the anchors that keep you headed in the right direction?
Sure, I would say for you guys, I'll stick with kind of the basics because I think they're great. I think spending. I want people to know you can enjoy your life. I want you, if you're working hard and God has blessed you, I want you to enjoy it. I want you to enjoy the out to eat, the shopping, all of that. So being wise with money doesn't mean that you live in a cave and collect lint, right? I mean, you can have fun and enjoy. So I want you to feel that freedom to enjoy when you have the money. Number 2, I would say stay away from debt at all costs. Stay away from debt.
Jonathan,
if you don't have the money,
did you hear that?
Don't buy it.
I'm just saying, because when you go to college, that's when you see all the people
Yes.
standing there with their little booths talking about how this is the interest rate that's going to be awesome for you.
You
and
get a
all
free
of the
T-shirt and a free pizza, right? I mean, it's all there. So staying away and just saying no, I'm going to save up and pay. And it'll be hard at times, but I promise the sacrifice is worth it. And then lastly, I would say learn to be a giver. Learn to be generous. If you live your life with an open hand, I believe, some money will leave and fall out, but that gives the opportunity for more to come back in. And you're giving yourself a position of not only your hand with your money, but also your heart, that you really are trusting God and saying, okay, I'm going to live my life like this. And being a generous person and serving people well, I promise you will get more out of giving than the person you're giving to. And if you can start that at your age, it's an incredible foundation to live just in your life and with your money.
Money is important. It is an important part of our life, but treating it wisely and being good stewards, well, God has a lot to say about that, and we're so grateful for people like Rachel Cruze because they help us to understand the principles that God himself put in place for our own good and for our own freedom. She helps us to understand that in words and ways and methods that we can really bring into practical areas of our life. So if you do not have a copy of Smart Money, Smart Kids, you are going to want to get it because it really will change your life. More importantly, it'll change the lives of the young people that are all around you. Would you guys please help me thank all of these incredible people who have joined me today. We're so glad that you came out.